Hey guys, so to change it up a little bit, we're instead of just covering my car, we're continuing vlogs and just make all these videos like update videos just on the team, whether it's Marco's Corvette, my E46, Dustin's S13, which we'll go through right now, Rob's, whatever Rob's doing, anything. So, and then just some fun stuff like, traveling and doing some other stuff. So, we'll try and get this page a lot more popping on recording. I just picked up some new camera stuff, so hopefully that'll spread out the amount of stuff we can cover. So right now we are actually inside of Dustin's garage, and we'll take a look over his S13 and what we're doing to it. So check it out. Dustin working on some battery relocation stuff, or improving it at least. What's going on right now?
Fucking got this fancy connectors that keep breaking, and I tried to get this kill switch thing installed. So I went ahead and went to good old Rule King and scooped up this battery terminal. I think it's like a 1/2 inch lead terminal, just so I could connect it to this and get all these wires like conjoined like properly, so they're not all discombobulated. So essentially it should go on something like that there, and get this on here tight, and then the kill switch should be fully functional.
So you just basically see something and see how you can make it work and just go with it?
Yeah.
There's no write-up on this or anything?
No, not really. I mean, I suppose there probably is, but it's just one of those things where you find something that you can connect and make work, you just make it work, you know? It's nothing too fancy.
Cool. So what's the setup here?
Got LS coils. Got to fabricate the bracket, running K plug wires. Custom made this harness to run those, and then we got a custom igniter chip, which I'm probably gonna end up scooping one up that just bypasses everything without the solder in there, so it's less likely to fail.
Yeah, so we got a top mount T3, T4 turbo setup, tile external wastegate, and a tile blow-off valve. This actually used to be my intercooler on my old 240 setup, and actually my old bumper support and everything. So some of the things we're doing is we are going to be building a bash bar. Nothing crazy, bash bar. We took the wires. Going to be throwing these extreme dimension fenders on. What are they? 50? 50
or 55.
Yeah, so about 50 millimeter extension. We get down here. I don't know if you can see it. Lighting's not the greatest, but battle tested fabrication. Link to our Facebook. They modded the knuckles, and then running, what is it? 15 millimeter?
25 mil.
25 mil extended LCA, and then a Voodoo tension arm or traction arm, whatever you want to call it. And then that's where he's getting the angle from, and it's a pretty good setup how it is. Biggest thing I would suggest is running this Voodoo arm though, and then also, I mean, especially if you're mainly drifting anyways, you really don't need the sway bar. So there's that. So we'll just continue walking around on Dustin's car. Now, like, some of the stuff you're gonna see is like really haggard looking right now because we definitely just tore it all apart. We've done some wiring on it already before we started taking it apart, but all that wiring looks really haggard right now because the dash was still in when we did the wiring. So it looks like a rat nest in one area, but I mean, really, there's only 5 switches, so it's really not that hard to clean it up. So before you guys start thinking some stuff, just know that's what it is. We'll turn it around and take a look at what we got going on in here. You know, a little pretty ASD hydro. We had to unbolt it to move it because it was hitting the seat. So wiring wise, gonna have to put a new piece of Lexan, but really simple setup. All of this was ordered on, well, this is bought Rule King, and then the relays and stuff were bought on Amazon, and so is this. And then just terminal ends, and then power and ground, and it's a really nice setup. If I could take this off really quick. So power comes through here, fused, and then goes to your switches, and then this is a centralized ground going to the battery. So really easy setup, and then comes over and goes to switches. And then you power this one on, it gives main control to the engine start switch. This one turns on the ECU. And we didn't say this yet, but he's running a Megasquirt plug and play. So I'm running Megasquirt on my LS, and I personally love it. Also, if you guys haven't noticed yet, we got the cage going on. Dustin's a big boy. He's about 6'4"-ish, 6 something, and so instead of doing a box in the corner like most people do, we place the plate back here, which is still like a really good spot as far as strength wise goes, because of this main body rail. And then main hoop, nice and tight fitting. We actually kept the sunroof because Dustin actually wanted to keep that intact. So there's our main hoop, and then here's our A-pillar bar, which is nicely done, in my opinion at least. Yeah, because it started out as we'll do this and that, and then it turned into like we might not put it back on the street until it has a fuel cell and all this stuff. So we definitely get carried away, but it's all in fun, and we love doing this stuff. So check out the good old Goon Squad GN's Performance, which is where we get a lot of our parts from. Good old Cody Terry hooking it up all the time. So check them out if you get a chance. If you need someone locally, you can talk to Dustin, and he can run the part numbers for you. So we can hook you up as much as we can and spread the wealth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over how we're doing this cage. Now I've learned how to do it on my E46 and just kind of refined it and made it a little better. So here's the bender that we're using if you're kind of curious. It's called the four-tool bender. Now it's a hydraulic bender. It's got a 1/8 inch and 5/8 die, and so you just basically slide the tube in and through here. You don't have to take this off or anything. I've used another one though where we did have to take it off every time, so it kind of just depends on your setup. But throw it in here, and then what I do is I throw this. I got this from Harbor Freight, digital angle gauge, and I throw it on the bar and zero it out. Once I have a little tension on the bar, and then as it turns, it's going to show me degrees. So probably get a little time lapse here in a second of us doing that. But here's the other A-pillar bar. So just to get an idea of how I set it up, what I do is I have my bends that I need to make. So these are basically my examples. So here's a 50 degree. What I do is I get the pre-bends and I use it to mock up what I need. So this is a 40 degree, and it's not big enough, but just to get an idea of how we use it. Let's say I want to make a 8-pillar bar. This isn't a 240, so I'll get my bar, and it requires a lot of eyeballing. This is not precision whatsoever. So 40 degrees, obviously 40 degrees is too much right here. So you grab your next bar that's about a 10 degree difference, and you throw that in there. So you go 30 next, and if that's just about right, go ahead and try it on a 20. If that's too little, then you know you're around 30 and somewhere to start. It's always easier to go less. That way you can bend more if you need to. So then we can throw this 40 here, and you see how it kind of angles down, and like I said, eyeballing. So you're just going to kind of want to follow this along with the A-pillar bar or A-pillar, and if this doesn't line up, you know you need to go more. My measurements for this cage was 50 to 60, so I start with 50 and I dial it in more, and then over here I had 30. In the end, once I have everything bent, everything's fitting up snug where I need it, like this, I bent this last and notched it. So that's basically how I made it. So fairly easy, but if you do it this way, there's one thing you're gonna have to do, and this is how I found the best way. So what I have here, this tape indicates where on the bender the starting point's gonna be, where the clamp's gonna sit at. So that would be right here. So what I did to kind of try and get my best idea of measurement of how and where to start my bend if you see here, zoom in, there's a black line right here. That's approximately my center point of the curve. So if I measure, now a bigger bend is going to be a little more difficult to measure, but if I line it up and I go to my start point, you can see it's about 5 3/4. And like I said, this isn't the best way, but it's the way we can make do with. And I mean, I built my cage and also we're building Dustin's, and you saw how that A-pillar fit. It's a lot of double, triple checking your measurements. So I labeled my whole bar all the way through, everything's planned out. I measured 29 inches from the, well, it'll go a little further so I have a little extra slack, but 29 inches from here to the center point of the first bend, which is our 30 degree. So then I had to backtrack and measure from my center point to my starting point, which is SP. So my clamp's gonna land on this, and my center point should be right about here. And then right here I labeled the A-pillar, so this is the part of the bar that's gonna be on the A-pillar bar, or the A-pillar. And then right here is my center point, so this is gonna be the part right here that shoots down to the ground. And then my starting point for that bend will be here. So when we feed it through, we'll just keep bending. All right, so I got the other A-pillar bar bent, and just to show you guys, at least on this design of how this one's getting set up, show you guys how we actually get it in. So basically, let me turn this around. After we're done bending it, we put it in, and like I said, I did degrees less than what I needed to, so I had to put it back on so I can like get it closer in. Now it's not lining up good right now because it's about 2.5 inches shorter than this side, which is fine because I'm gonna cut the end off to put the box on, and the same thing's gonna happen on this side, so it being 2.5 inches shorter is fine. But I actually have 3 bends. There's one there, one there, one there. Right now I only have 2, one there and one there. Reason being is I can test fit with this going straight across, so that gives me a chance to actually get the approximate inside angle spot where it needs to be bent at, so I know exactly where to bend it, because it's kind of hard to do the math. I'm not a math guy. I get these 2 bends good, and then I bend that one last once these 2 are set. It's just about it right there. I know it fits right. Now the last thing is getting my my pre-bends, like I was saying, and lining it up and seeing which bend will go from here to here perfectly with the bar going straight this way. And it seems to be at minimum a 15 degree, but I don't have pre-bent 15 degrees. 20 seems too much, but I mean, you could also manipulate the whole bar to be where it could do have 20, but also affect how it lines up over there. Which all in all, I'm pretty happy with how it's lining up. I'm gonna get this bend done. Here's the center point, and here's the start point. And as I said before, the pre-bent bars, I have the midpoint marked up. So all I did was I got the tape measure and measured from midpoint to my start point on the bar where the tape's at. So that's where this is at. And this should also be where the bar is gonna meet up with the main hoop. So all I gotta do is chop off about this much, about halfway, and then I can start notching from there once I get this bent, and then get it dialed in from there. So I got the bar into the four-wheel bender. Here's the start point, as I was saying before. The circle is somewhere in, or the little dot that I put is somewhere in here. So in the end, the dot that I made should be somewhere in the middle of the bend when we're done bending this. So as I was telling you before, here's the digital angle gauge. What I do is calibrate it. Oh. Calibrate. Sometimes it reads 0.1, but there's double zeros, so that's good. And then now I'm going to do this at a 20 degree bend, so I'm just going to bend it until that shows 20 degrees. There you are at 20. Sometimes I like to go like 1 or 2 degrees more, because after you release the die, the metal tends to spring back a little bit and get less angle than what you initially planned for or what it says. So I go a little bit more to make sure it's like around where we were planning on getting it to, or we're trying to get it to. Right now for the 20, I want it at 20 because I know it's going to spring back a little bit, and also I don't want a full 20. I want it to be a little bit less so I can add more if I have to. So we're in a good spot right now. So as I was saying, here's where my dot is, or was, and my start point here. And with the measurements, and I mean, there's no write-up on how to do this, at least that I've seen. This is how I do it, and it works for me. So I put this as my inside, kind of eyeballed it as where it needs to bend to be able to get to the main hoop. Made the center point based on where my 20-degree die was set at, and then measure the start point. And there's a start point, put it 20 degrees, and just about centered. So now the passenger side A-pillar bar is just about done. Last thing we gotta do is notch the tubing. So you'll see the notcher that I'm using, and how we do it's really simple. But here's a look after the bend was done. You're gonna see right now is not like exact because it's a little short. So I mean, it's gonna work out with the box once it's done. But we can show you what it's gonna look like. But here's the bend that we made, and then it's gonna be able to meet up over there. And like I said, it's short. It's gonna sit about 2 inches higher, so this will be tucked up a little bit more. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and notch it, and we'll go through that. So this is the notcher, and as you can see, it comes from Woodward Fab, and it's, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So you have 3 bolts on this side, 1, 2, and 3, and then you can also adjust per width of your tubing, which it all the way down is perfect for what I'm using it for. It's got a little pin on here to keep it from falling all the way down. Just recommend lubing this up if you get this, but I mean, generally they're all about the same. I went on eBay and got it. I would have got a Eastwood notcher, but they were out of stock, so I just ordered a Woodward. I mean, essentially just about the same quality. You can mount this, obviously. I just don't, just because I don't have anything to mount it to. But basically the tubing goes in through here, and then you tighten it down and basically just drill it. You'll see. So you got 0 to 60 degrees. It doesn't look as if this is actually 0. It's not very not super accurate, but I mean, you get enough wiggle room. But as far as the hole saw that I'm using, it's a 1 3/4. Even though I'm running a inch and even though I'm running an 1 5/8 tubing, I was told by somebody, I can't remember exactly, so don't quote me on this, but he told me to use an inch and not an inch or a specific size, but if you're whatever you're running, run about like a 1/4 inch bigger than what you're actually your actual tubing size is. So I was wondering, running 1 5/8, which would bring me up to about 1 1/4 or an 1/8 inch above. I don't know. I just know to run bigger, not excessively, not like a 1/2 inch bigger, but I mean, it seems to work. I think it's because it gives you a little bit more wiggle room once you're notched and you line it up. Gives you a little bit more wiggle room for you know, refining it a little bit. As if you use the same exact size, it'll be a lot tighter of a fit. I mean, which can be good, or it could be really crappy. So I'll run through just doing this little time lapse of this one. Okay, we got it in here, and I think it looks pretty damn good. I had to tape it up, so because I don't have an extra hand right now, so I had to make my own hands. So here you go. There's a notch lining up just about to where that side is, and there's our bend. If you look down the line, pretty good parallel line all the way down. Other than this angle bend could have been more over this way, just a tad bit, about probably 3 degrees or so. and this would have been nutted up over here a little bit more. But I mean, I'm really happy with the results. Nothing that can't be fixed. Not really fixed. I mean, I think it's fine the way it is, but you know, definitely to add more structure, some gussets down the road if we ever take the windshield out, which looks like we might have to do eventually. But that's it. So that'll conclude this vlog. Basically introing Dustin's car into the mix, and also what we're doing at this one. And I mean, stay tuned. We're definitely going to be getting back at this one. We got to finish the cage and get the SR up and running, and then do some wiring cleanup. And we're also doing subframe bushings and all that stuff. So along with these videos will be some how-tos and stuff like that. So this one was kind of long because it kind of covered a lot of stuff and kind of showed you how you guys can make your own cage in your own garage if you have the tools or have a little bit of cash to get some of the garage tools that you need to make something like this happen. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and come back and check out some more stuff that we got going on.